Hello, welcome to Nottingham Buddhist Centre. So my name is Gareth. I'm going to be leading the meditation today. So I'll just sort of introduce what we're going to be doing and say a bit about how these sessions run if you're new to them. And then we'll give an overview of the practice, which you don't need to remember because I'll be guiding it as we go along. So we alternate between two different meditations in these drop-in classes. 1 week we do the mindfulness of breathing, which is all about focusing on the breath, and 1 week we do the Metta Bhavana, and it's Metta Bhavana week this time. So the Metta Bhavana is all about cultivating positive emotional states, feelings of loving kindness, both towards ourselves and towards other people. And those two practices that we teach, which we alternate between, are very much sort of supportive of each other. And you may find that as you practice them for longer, or if you take them up at home, that they start to influence each other. So you experience more stable, consistent concentration when you're doing the Metta Bhavana, having done more the mindfulness of breathing, and having gone deeper into this meditation which we're doing today, it's sort of easier to be with your own thoughts when you come to do the mindfulness of breathing, sort of more sort of calmer or what's the word, more at ease with ourselves and with others, which is very helpful if you're trying to remain concentrated on a single point. So the actual kind of form that we're going to be doing today, we'll be doing a quick body scan just to sort of ground ourselves, come out of the sort of doing mind that we've probably been wrapped up in already today, and start to get in touch with what it's actually like to be in our bodies at this moment, trying to come into a different quality of presence with our experience than the one that we perhaps habitually have. And then from there we'll move into the Metta Bhavana. So that is going to be in 5 stages. In the first stage we are calling to mind a good friend. So that's first stage. Getting ahead of myself. First stage we're calling to mind ourselves, wishing ourselves well. Second stage, calling to mind a good friend. So that's someone that we feel fairly straightforward, positive feelings of warmth or friendliness towards. Just someone that you're pleased to see. That's when they appear. Third stage is a neutral person, so that's can be the hardest stage to choose a person for. But it's someone that we don't have particularly strong feelings about one way or the other. So all the people in the world who are a bit grey, that we're just sort of inclined to not really pay attention to, unless we have to. Fourth stage is a difficult person, so someone that we find more challenging, someone we don't particularly like, or we disapprove of, or we just find awkward. And we can use the Metta Bhavana to work with the most difficult relationships that we have. But if you are unfamiliar with the practice, it is best to choose someone a bit more manageable. Perhaps a slightly awkward colleague, or just someone that you perhaps are slightly uncomfortable around, or don't particularly like, but not someone that's going to make you feel really uncomfortable. And then the fifth and final stage, we're drawing together all the people we've already thought about, including ourselves, and having a sense of hopefully having a sense of well-wishing, of a kind of kindly awareness extending to all of us, and then expanding that outwards to take in the rest of the world, and ultimately all of the sentient beings, all other living things. So it's quite a lofty practice, at least in potential. It can go a long way. And putting that practice in a sort of slightly broader context. I mean, it has practical effects. Like it's just speaking from my own experience, it's been very useful to do with all kinds of difficult relationships, or if I'm in an irritable mood, it really helps to kind of work with that and also just to get out of a slightly, if you're feeling kind of enclosed in your, a bit kind of claustrophobic and in your own concerns, then it really helps to open that out. And over time, I've used it with difficult bosses and members of my family, all kinds of things. Wherever, if there's some friction, or even you just have a sense of not really seeing someone fully, it's a wonderful practice for using around that. But in the reason as a Buddhist that I do the practice, and the reason that the traditions kind of encourages it, is not only does it help us to create a calmer, kind of more positive mental state, which is just very useful in general as a human being, but it also moves us towards a more accurate picture of the world. It starts to break down our sense of being isolated and uniquely important people. It kind of works against the narrowness of the ego. One way of talking about the aim of Buddhist practice is about having that moment of insight where you are able to see beyond and live out of a knowledge of the fact that you are not separate from the world, and that your concerns are not isolated from the concerns of everyone else. Wisdom being very much connected inextricably with compassion. At least that's what the Buddha sort of represents through his example, and also what the tradition teaches. So that it's, from that perspective, it's absolutely foundational. Sitting and thinking about others, and even thinking about ourselves from a slightly more compassionate perspective, really helps to move us in that towards opening, towards seeing things as they really are. So a few sort of tips in terms of choosing people. Particularly these really are tips if you are just getting used to the practice or returning to it after some time away. So best to choose people who are alive, partly because it's interesting to see how the relationships with them might develop, but also if the person has passed away, there may well be grief and other emotions kind of brought up in connection with them, which is another kind of layer of complexity to deal with. Then there's also, and then of course, there's also best to choose people that you are not in a sexual relationship with, or not in a romantic, sort of not romantically interested in particularly. Nothing wrong with those relationships, of course, but it is another layer of complexity. It's sort of a different quality of need that we have around those people. And for very much the same reason, it's also best not to use people that you view as your parents or your children when you're very new to the practice. Again, those are really important and valuable relationships to us, but they do come with another layer of complexity on top by comparison to just a friend of a similar age or something like that, if we're talking about the second stage. In time, I'd really encourage you to work with everyone, to call to mind everyone in your life, and that's something of a project really to over a period of time kind of work through all the significant relationships in your life, and just call these people to mind and see what your response to them is, and how you can move towards seeing them more in their own terms. That's a fascinating thing to do. But if this is your first time doing the Metta Bhavana, best to avoid those three people who've died, people that you're sort of romantically interested in, and parents and children. Also, best to avoid media personalities, people you actually know or have met, rather than you might not like Donald Trump, but there's not much much actual connection there. So yeah, perhaps don't use him to begin with. So I think that's probably enough from me. If at any point you do have any questions, you can pop them in the live chat, or after this session you can always email us or drop us a message on social media, and we'll get back to you, whether that's about this practice or anything else about the centre. If you are interested in doing more meditation, actually, one thing I'll mention now is that we do have a meditation session, a sort of morning of meditation tomorrow on Saturday. Yeah, just drop us an email at the info at Nottingham Buddhist Centre email address if you're interested in attending. That's probably enough for now. So if you aren't already in a meditation posture, then settle yourself in. So we're looking for a sort of combination of being both grounded and comfortable, so that we're not going to have to shift around too much, but also upright. So there's this sort of balance between relaxation and alertness. Yeah, the aim of meditation ultimately is awakening, which is sort of both metaphorical and literal in it. So if your posture is so comfortable that it makes you fall asleep, that's probably you've gone too far down the comfort end, and you need to move towards alertness a bit. So if you can sit with your spine just supporting itself, that's really good. Obviously, different levels of fitness and health may prevent that. So if you do need some support, perhaps in the lower back, if you're sitting on a chair, just having a cushion there, then that's good. But yeah, the more upright we can be, that's generally helpful for remaining alert and sort of clear-headed. You may also want to have something just to support your hands. So I've got a blanket here, so I can kind of fold back on itself and tuck my hands into. Might not seem particularly necessary at the beginning of the meditation, but yeah, once we've been sitting for a longer period of time, you might well find that the simple weight of our arms and hands kind of drags the body forward slightly. So you may find that helpful, to find some sort of hand support. And then once you're roughly where you want to be, just closing your eyes or resting them in an empty space, a few feet in front of you. And before we do anything else, we're just going to take a minute, perhaps just to decide who we're going to think about. Who's a good friend today? Who's a neutral person? Perhaps it's someone at the counter at the local shop, probably having an interesting time at the moment. Who's our difficult person? Perhaps that's even someone that we are close to, but the relationship is strained at the moment. I'm sure there's lots of that happening due to the lockdown. Yeah, so once we've chosen our people, we can just stay with them when we come to the right stage in the practice. Don't need to overthink it. There may well be surprising emotional responses to them when they actually come to think about them, but that's fine. You really can't go wrong in calling someone to mind and wishing them well. But it's good to have made that decision. And moving into the body scan, tuning into our body the physical sensations as they are at this moment. Setting aside whatever else we may be preoccupied with. We can trust that if it's really important, it will still be there at the end, and we will be more able to meet it creatively and calmly for the benefit of the meditation. Tuning into the sensations in the head, the crown, temples, the eyes, softening wherever we find tension, allowing that to fade on the out-breath. The cheeks and jaw, the neck and shoulders, neck rising up, shoulders descend, and flowing down into the arms and the hands. And then the chest and the upper back. Coming down into the heart area, really paying attention to whatever sensations there are there, or even if it's just it feels a bit blank or numb, that's interesting to know. Down into the belly and the lower back, softening, releasing, sort of just generally allowing the body to open and expand, not forcing it to be upright, just in the way that flowers unfold. Down to the groin, and then the legs, the thighs, knees, calves and shins, all the way down into the ankles and the feet. Just allowing the whole body to be completely supported by the ground, the chair, the cushion, whatever we find ourselves on. Feeling that stability and then allowing the body to flow upwards. Gentle movement of energy up the spine, through the crown of the head, and just taking note of those patterns of energy, tension, pleasant and unpleasant feelings that we've just noticed. The way in which our mood and our state of mind is expressing itself or manifesting through these sensations. And we're going to bring that awareness of the emotional life of the body with us as we move into the Metta Bhavana, the cultivation of loving kindness practice. So in the first stage, calling ourselves to mind, wishing ourselves well. Maybe we're visualizing ourselves as if viewed with kindly eyes. Maybe we're staying with the body, noticing the pleasant and unpleasant feelings. The way in which the body itself wants to be well, to move towards what it enjoys and away from what it doesn't. And we can use words and phrases. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be free from suffering. And each time we find we've wandered off, kindly coming back to the object of meditation, back to the intention to wish ourselves well. we can come back to the body as an anchor if we feel we've become lost. And moving into the second stage, calling to mind a good friend. Just someone we have a straightforward, positive relationship with. And meeting them warmly in our minds. Noticing the effect that evoking them has. Any changes in the body, the chest. Seeing if we can really get a sense of this person as themselves, outside of anything we might want or need from them. They have their own cares, their own hopes and expectations. And their body is also trying to find ease, just as ours is. So whether we're picturing them kindly in our mind's eye, feeling them close to us, as if they were just sitting nearby, just wishing them well. May be happy, may be well, may be free from suffering. Still working with distraction whenever it arises, using that as a chance to reinforce the habit of kindness towards ourselves and our own minds. Moving into the third stage, calling to mind a neutral person. Just noting what our response is to them, or even the absence of a response, feeling of boredom or indifference. But trying to call them to mind nonetheless. Even if we know less about them than we do about our friend, we can be sure that they are also an important person to themselves. Their life is as significant as an important series of events to them as ours is to us. Just as we find ourselves in a web of relationships, of bonds and cares, so too the neutral person is part of the fabric of life. They have friends and family who care about them. No doubt they have people they're worried about. So we don't need to feel ashamed of our lack of warmth towards this person. We just need to move our awareness towards that deeper truth, using as much imagination as we need to reach it. May be happy, may be well, may be free from suffering. Moving into the fourth stage, calling to mind a difficult person, someone that we don't immediately like. Just holding them in the mind, not trying to force ourselves to like them, not trying to justify our dislike to ourselves. Feeling the changes in the body when we call them to mind. Using the breath to soften. And again, not trying to squash or deny our reaction to them, but opening our minds, turning our awareness towards the larger truth that even this person is someone just like us at the deepest level, motivated by the desire for happiness and the fear of pain. And whatever they may do, whatever they may have done, however justified we might be in disapproving of that, it was from this same need that we also feel. And knowing that, we can wish them well. May be happy, may be well, may be free from suffering. Moving into the fifth and final stage, calling to mind everyone in the previous stages, ourselves, the good friend, the neutral person, the difficult person, and whether we are bringing them together in the same space, feeling them close by, as if sat in a circle perhaps. Or just having a sense of all four in the mind. Noticing the differing responses we have to each person, as well as how much we have in common, and wishing us all well. May we all be happy, may we all be well, may we all be free from suffering. And from there, allowing that to spread outwards, taking in the rest of the world, all the other living things that we're aware of, however dimly. Whether that means picturing perhaps the room, the building, the streets, and going outwards and outwards, taking in more and more of the planet, even the universe, or perhaps just extending that well-wishing out from the body, first in one direction and then another, till it is moving in all directions, above and below, on all sides. As if we were opening up to it. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be free from suffering. gradually letting go of that intention, coming back to the body, back to the physical sensations we started with. Just taking note of anything that's changed. And then just sitting for a few more moments without any intention at all. So no matter what kind of meditation we think we've had, whether it felt challenging or enjoyable, just sitting with our experience as it is. It so often feels as if there is more that needs to be done than we can do. But right now, the meditation is almost over. But we don't need to do anything else. We can just savor what it's like to be. Shortly I'm going to ring the bell again, and once that's been rung, in your own time you can draw the meditation to a close and open your eyes. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me. If you are able to, just have a little bit more space after this. Don't try not to rush back to anything too quickly. As I said at the beginning, there is another meditation morning happening tomorrow. That'll be on Zoom, actually. If you are interested in attending, please drop us an email, or message us somewhere on our social media. Lost the phrase. But thank you very much for coming. I hope you're all doing well at home. Please feel free to say hi in the chat if you want. And if you are able to donate to the centre, that will be much appreciated. Of course, we're not open as we normally would be at the moment, so we can't receive donations in the usual way, which has meant that there's a bit of a shortfall of, it's actually about £1,500 a month, which is obviously significant. Pretty much all of that money goes to supporting our 3 order members, including Kama Siri, who's doing the meditation morning tomorrow. So we obviously need to look after them at this time as well. So if you are able to contribute anything, then that would be wonderful. yeah, if you're still in work or you've been furloughed, then yeah, all that money we're not spending on coffee, send some of it our way. But if you're not able to, then please just make use of what we're offering as much as you like. Yeah, it's very much given freely as a gift. Yeah, and if you're able to be generous towards us, that's wonderful. If you're not in a position to be, then yeah, it means just as much to us that you're able to receive what we're giving. Yeah, and I will be back next week on Friday. There are also drop-in meditations happening on Tuesday lunchtime and Tuesday evening. And yeah, please take care of yourselves. I will see you next time.